It's the jelly beans.
You know how bad of a sign it is that I'm the one that's on track? Do you know how bad it is that?
No.
You know how bad of a sign that is for the podcast?
Don't interrupt the CFO, the Chief Flavor Officer, okay? The CFO.
There you go.
Did
You didn't test me.
I don't need
Yeah, we know.
Okay, screw it. I see both your heads are forwards. I want you to know you still both look like jackasses. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Welcome to Metazoo be with you, America's favorite, most jackassiest TCG podcast. I am, of course, joined by the man who gets all of his ideas stolen by Louis 1 week after airing them.
I'm sorry. Wait. Who bought hats first?
Gosh!
Who had the Kitchen Table TCG hat before anybody had a Hometown TCG hat?
Now
we're just stealing each other's ideas and it's okay?
I am also joined by the man who you can watch every day making America's best Magic content. Or you can just watch this podcast and see what he's going to say in a few days. Louis to George.
That's fair.
That follows.
And we are joined by the world's greatest human, my friend and yours, George. Chat, the comment section loves him, so we can't say anything bad about him.
I flew back.
Okay, wait. That shirt, show him the shirt. George bought a $150 Harvard Hawaiian shirt, which is the worst looking Hawaiian shirt I've ever seen in my life. That is not even a Hawaiian shirt. That's like a Hawaiian. That's like a rich person trying to buy a Hawaiian shirt. That's what that is.
Okay, so here's my all right, I'll get into the shirt. I wasn't going to go into the shirt. I want you all to know this. I wasn't getting into the shirt, but I have to now. First, this is obviously a Hawaiian shirt.
No.
What could make this more? It has palm prints.
If you took that shirt to Hawaii, they'd beat you up.
They love me.
Hawaiians would never.
So I have very few things that have any of my schools on them. I think it's kind of a jackass move to wear them. I'll be honest with you. But I only buy things from the schools if I think they're hilarious.
That is a funny shirt because it's like trying to be Hawaiian, but it's not. Who
the hell is the market for a $150 Hawaiian shirt that says Harvard on it?
All right.
Who's the market? There was none. I swear to you, the racks were empty because it was moving weekend for the kiddos. The racks were empty except for two. This shirt and the black and white version. There's no market for this. Who produced this?
That's great. Okay, welcome everyone.
Other Harvard shirt.
Oh my gosh, can we start the podcast?
No, is a camouflage shirt that has Harvard on it. Because again, who is buying a camouflage shirt in Boston, Massachusetts?
Yeah, this is the same thing with purple deck sleeves. I don't understand who buys purple deck sleeves, and they always sell at my store. I don't get it. I just don't get it. I don't understand why people want purple deck sleeves. Okay.
I don't know if we're done with the intro. Am I allowed to talk yet, or where are we at?
This is
after you're introduced, then it's your turn, baby.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right. Welcome back to the podcast, everyone. This is a TCG podcast, not a Harvard Hawaiian shirt podcast. We're super excited for you to be here today. We're going to be talking about lots of things. Disney.
That was so creepy.
Yeah, why'd you get so creepy?
We're really excited you're here with us, boys and girls. Do you want to see my van? Do you want to see my flooded basement?
Oh my gosh. Stuff to play
you're flooded too, George, so easy.
You have a flood? Wait,
you don't know?
I don't know about this. Back to the intro. Do you have a flood in your house?
Oh, no, not in my house. Not in my house.
Store. Oh gosh, yeah. We'll talk about George's Dominaria United pre-release this weekend. We're going to talk
about an umbrella.
The Genesis version.
Sport is taken on water.
The retail version of Genesis, and then arcade. Metazoo has an arcade game coming out, and George is very excited. All right.
So you're not going to be obnoxious at all during that section.
All I want to do is talk about the arcade, but I will go through the rest of this just for our viewers. I want you all to know that. It
doesn't matter. No one's still watching. We're 4 minutes in, and everyone's clicked away because of this intro. If you're still with us, here we go, everyone. Disney Lorcana. This is crazy this week. I was like, wait, Disney coming out with a TCG?
Do you want to explain what it is, or do you just want people to assume?
You usually interrupt and start doing that, so I was just this time just letting you go. So give us now, do you need to disclose your Disney stock holdings here?
Yes, I need to disclose that Disney does not make up an insignificant amount of my net worth. I'm rooting for you, Bob, as CEO. So far, I want the old Bob back, but we can all change that.
You're gonna get banned from Disney. Lorcana.
We're banned from a new card game. Sick. Thanks, George.
No, Disney's a real company. So Disney doesn't care about me. If you do, Bob, come on the podcast. Bob's coming on next week to defend himself.
Oh my gosh, that'd be great.
That would be great content. We should actually invite them.
Okay, come on.
So here's what I think people are missing a little bit. This is not a Disney TCG.
That's not true.
This is a Disney licensed TCG.
Okay.
Yeah.
That is a big difference.
It's consigned to a third-party company to create, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
That is an enormous difference.
So there was an announcement that came out, and what's the company's name though?
It's the one that made the board games, whatever the hell it is.
It's like
Ravensburger, right?
Ravensburger, which is that's a big deal. Like that, they've done a lot of Disney board games that have done pretty well.
They're very well respected in the board game space.
Yeah. So it's not like John Schmo from down the street in there got some like
I think
license.
The fact that a third party has it makes it far more likely to succeed, not less likely to succeed. I think Disney doing it themselves would have been a disaster.
Okay.
They don't have the expertise.
Yeah.
Nothing against you, Disney. I still love you, still rooting for you, and please don't ban me. But now you guys got me freaked out that I'm going to get banned from Disney. I'm going down there in a couple of weeks. I think the fact that a third party that's respected is going to make this game far more likely to succeed. They've also given us a few hints about what they're thinking.
It's pretty cool.
They want it to be an easier to play game.
Yeah. So I read a book to my daughter all the time. It's Mickey and Mickey. I can read children's books.
Oh, okay, good. That follows.
It's Mickey and the Sorcerer. And,
yes.
Oh, yeah.
And it's a book about Mickey, and he gets the sorcerer's hat, and he starts conjuring up brooms to broom, and then the broom breaks, and he falls asleep, and it's the whole thing. Anyway, when I heard that this was going to be like a sorcerer thing, and it's like you're conjuring up, Disney characters, I was like, oh my gosh, that fits in the Disney realm. And so I think that's the first thing for me is like, I don't want Mickey fighting, like punching and kicking and fighting Buzz Lightyear. You know what I mean? Like that's Disney, right?
Wait, you don't want, first of all, you don't want that?
No, I don't want Smash Bros.
Wow.
But
I'm really sad right now. I agree with Louis.
You want that? That seems
no. I agree with. Even when I agree with you, you won't listen to me.
No, I was talking to Josh. I was talking to Josh.
Good.
It's not all about you. Josh, like you want that? You want like Disney character fighting? Like that seems so weird to me.
No, but for the sake of content, how cool would that be? Like the mouse is just beating up a space alien.
Who would win in a fight? Buzz Lightyear or Mickey?
Mickey.
What?
That guy's got infinite life. He's lived forever. Mickey.
That's only because
not
Congress will let him go into the public domain.
And not aged.
And that's a superpower, and Mickey would win.
I was about to say something that we have to edit. I want you to know I caught myself. You're welcome, Louis.
There you go.
Buzz Lightyear's lasers are all fake. They're just lights.
Exactly.
Mickey's a mouse. He contains diseases. He's going to kill that astronaut.
So massive IP, which has been incredibly successful for TCGs of all time.
Oh, you did bring props.
This is a Looney Tunes TCG that's completely failed that somebody sent me that I need to do a box opening still.
Oh my God. Somebody sent me Buffy the Vampire packs my Secret Santa. Where was that?
And I think this is important that this is actually a Wizards of the Coast product. This is the article that we read or that got shared around in our group, at least, was titled like Disney produces TCG to compete with Magic the Gathering and Pokemon. I don't see this coming out and being like, hey, at your LGS on a Friday night, you're going to be, people are going to be there like looking to play Magic, and they're going to be like, oh, there's no tables because there's so many people here playing.
That's not the only way you have. That's not the only way you have to compete. There's no people at your LGS on a Friday night consistently looking to play Pokemon, and yet they compete.
I not according to the Alta Fox article. They're not competing.
That article is a little one-sided.
So
don't you think?
I had
only going from one perspective.
I had one thing in my mind when I read this. Your favorite guest and mine, the Magic historian, when we talked about current games on the market and if they could compete with Magic, he was like, no game currently on the market can compete with Magic, but one could someday. And that one's just not on the market yet. I thought about that a lot when I was reading this news.
Yeah.
Like, if you're going to compete with Magic, this is how you have to do it. I'm not saying they will or won't. I'm not saying they will win or won't win. But, like, you have a multi-bajillion-dollar company promoting a new TCG made by people who know how to design games with the world's best IP. Like, to say that there's no shot, I don't understand. Like, I don't understand how much more of a shot anybody could possibly want.
I just don't see the demographic that wants to buy a Disney Lorcana game being the demographic that plays Magic the Gathering.
Well, like, I would absolutely buy a Disney Lorcana game.
You don't play Magic the Gathering, so you are proving my point.
It's kind of, yeah.
So, but I carry it.
No, like, I know. Sure.
Are you going to carry this game, Louis?
Oh, yeah. I have 2 kids.
Of course.
Like, I'm going to carry this game so that I can give it to my daughter.
Bull. Absolute bull.
What?
Absolute bull. You would carry this game if you had no children.
Of course. Yeah.
Of course.
This will sell but I think that the person who buys this game is somebody who hears that it comes out, loves Disney, sees that there's a local game store in the area that carries it and goes there. It's not my Magic the Gathering customers who are going to be like, "Oh, I don't think I'm buying Dominaria United this week because I want to buy Disney Lorcana." I don't think that thing exists.
But they could. We don't know. Like, if the gameplay is good, why wouldn't they?
They said the gameplay is not going to be as competitive.
So there's
I want to talk about that in a minute. I'll continue, Josh.
There's already a couple things here, right? And you said it right away. It's a proven fact that just because you have a good IP behind a TCG doesn't mean that it's going to be a good TCG. So the third party company here is important. Louis, I was talking to you the other day. The example I used was the Star Wars TCG.
Yeah,
we all remember Star Wars, fantastic IP. We're all in. If Magic comes or Star Wars comes to Magic, we're all selling our houses.
Seems less likely now.
It's significantly less.
Where did that rumor start? Like, how did let's get into that in the Magic section because I want to think like that is what somebody did some bad speculating. Continue, Josh.
So not only is it important that the TCG actually works as a trading card game, but we have to remember this thing's not going to come out with the same leeway that these other TCGs that release that we talk about have. They're going to be expected. New TCGs don't come out and they're expected to compete with the big dogs. When Genesis releases a set, when Metazoo releases a set, they're not expected to compete with the big dogs. But this TCG from set 1 is going to be in that arena. They're going to be expected to compete with them. Yeah, they are. Disney's going to spend money like this is competing with the big dogs. You better believe they wanted to.
Hold on, boo-boo. Let's go back to where we started. They have licensed the game. We have no idea if Disney's going to give a nickel to this. What would not shock me, don't know this, just wildly speculating, is if Disney put in the contract that Ravensburger has to spend a certain amount of money on advertising in order to secure the license. That could be. But I don't think Disney will advertise this on their own because it's a license.
Yeah, that's a very important. If you don't see this on Disney Plus when you go to play the movie and it gives you like a little advertisement that you can skip, if you don't see this advertisement for that game, that's going to be a miss.
I think they might. I just think they're going to have to get money in from Ravensburg to do that.
Hopefully Ravensburg was smart enough to try to. Anyway, I don't want to get into the contractual stuff. I think that the demographic for this, in my opinion, is like 8-year-old. I think that's the demographic for this.
Mentally 8 years old.
What is wrong with you? You are the saddest. Like, no wonder you're in therapy. Everybody should want to play this. If you don't have the childlike love of Disney characters, sign off on this podcast and go watch something worse, which is every other thing ever produced on the planet.
One of the two of us doesn't have to listen to Disney TV shows all day.
And why do you do that? Because your kids love it.
Yeah, exactly. My 3-year-old loves it. Absolutely loves it.
Gosh, do you not like Disney?
I have nothing against it. I don't.
Do you not like Disney, Louis?
I don't like it. I don't like it enough to go play a Disney card game. There are aspects of Disney I like more than others.
I will promise you this. My fat butt will be learning this game on release weekend, and I will be forcing it on my store through brute force.
Yeah, there will be a 7-year-old that destroys you in this card game.
Fine.
Wait, but actually, let's see. 2023, my daughter will be 4.5. I bet you my 4.5-year-old daughter will be able to beat you in this TCG. I challenge you for my daughter.
It will not happen because that means you'd have to come to my store, and as we all know, you will not travel no matter how much you promise others you will.
No, she's 4 years old. She gets the home game. You got to travel. You're the away team, buddy.
Oh, that's fine. I can do that.
So I think the demographic for this is going to be like younger generation. I could see like a Saturday morning. Oh my gosh, I could see a Saturday morning cartoons of like this game where it's like, hey, bring your kids in, play Disney Lorcana. We're gonna have some Disney cartoons on. I'm not saying adults aren't gonna like it and aren't gonna want to collect it. That is important. Adults will want to collect this. That is.
I'm gonna collect and play the living daylights out of this.
I don't see like a bunch of adults showing up on a Friday night to play Disney Lorcana. I don't think
you can. There's other nights other than just one night, right? Like you can play games on Saturday. Is that why your store is struggling? Like you can play games on Saturday and Sunday too. That is a thing.
My store's not struggling. Why are you even saying that? How's your store doing? How many
it's
days
flooded and no internet. Thank you for asking.
Okay. Yeah. Great. Okay.
Your curse, the curse of your house has gone south.
I don't want to. Like, I'm not trying to say that adults aren't going to be interested in this because I think they will be. I think there will be I think a lot of adults who have 7, 8, 9-year-old kids are going to absolutely love this and are going to eat this up, and it's a great thing to do with your kids. Like, I think that's the market for this. I don't think it's competing with Magic. It's probably competing with Pokemon, and it's certainly going to compete with these newer TCGs. Like, I mean, I think it's going to compete with Metazoo. The IP side of this is going to be.
Yeah.
I think for Metazoo, this is going to probably not great news. Like, you're going to have now. You already have a lot of kids who are learning how to play Metazoo with their parents. I think this is a.
I think we just disagree on the market for this. Like, I think the market is 30-year-olds.
But Louis, if the market is, your 8 to 12 or 8 to 13 or whatever that demographic is, are you concerned? This is what would concern me. Is I think it's already hard enough to get people of that age, kids of that age, into anything that isn't on a digital screen.
Yeah,
right.
This is fair.
And that's a hard demographic to market a TCG to. Which, if that's the target, this game's going to suffer. It's hard to get those kids to play cards.
I think Pokemon does a really good job in the that 7 to 9-year-old range. And then as the kids get older and more into technology and sports and that kind of thing, they kind of lose them. So I think it's going to be, that's why I'm saying that demographic of like 7, 8, 9 is probably where this fits.
I see. Okay.
But again, Pokemon also has 30-year-olds who play and who do that. And I think that will exist. But as far as like the majority of things, I don't know. That's just my opinion.
This is going to be amazing. I am super. You've been dunking on it for the last half hour.
No, I haven't.
That was me.
I have not been dunking on it. I've been saying that.
Butting it up. So this is going to be amazing. I am super pumped for it. What character do you most want to see in the game?
Chip and Dale.
That's a really good one. That's like a really good one.
You think?
I do. I like that, which makes me really sad.
My daughter's been really liking Chip and Dale.
They're amazing.
The Rescue Rangers.
She doesn't like Rescue Rangers. She doesn't like that show at all. She gets upset about it if you turn that one on. There's a new Chip and Dale one on Disney Plus. The new content on Disney Plus is so good.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
It really is.
Is it good enough to sell a TCG?
Yes.
Yes.
Let's go.
Yes.
Let's go.
Yes.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's go.
All right, Josh, what character do you most want to see?
Luke Skywalker.
The Star Wars. That's going to happen.
Of course it's going to happen.
If I'm not getting Star Wars in Magic, I'm getting Star Wars in something. Okay.
We'll hear about that in a minute. God, I'm so hyped for this.
If I'm not getting it, I'm getting it somewhere.
I want Monsters Inc.
That's good.
Sully's
all right,
man.
Did
Okay,
did you guys see that Top Sapphire is coming out with a Star Wars card, and there's already like a $25,000 bounty on the top card in the set?
That's crazy.
Really?
Like, yeah, like IP sells. IP
for how long?
Sells.
Does it have staying power?
Yeah, Star Wars is RIP soon, Josh. That's a great call. I'll miss you, Luke. It's been good seeing you. Bye, Obi-Wan.
Yeah, you're right. That's a great take. There was a Star Wars TCG that is dead.
It lost the license.
That's actually not true. There are, that there's a whole committee that keeps the Decipher Star Wars TCG going, and that
how many new sets came out this year?
No, they actually still do events, and they rotate the legality of the cards and stuff.
That's my question.
That's pretty amazing though that still goes on.
They lost the license. I think,
but that happens with DBZ as well.
What you're pointing to is the much bigger problem, which is will Disney pull the license for some reason or no reason, and the game just dies?
If it's too successful, won't they just want to do it themselves?
I mean, like Disney doesn't. I mean, I don't think so. I think Disney. This is not Disney's wheelhouse, and they know that.
But that's exactly what happened with Dragon Ball Z. The Dragon Ball Z card game had the rights to the IP. It was popped off. It was successful, and then they took the rights back because they wanted to do it. They did it obviously more poorly, and then the game died itself.
I don't see.
Isn't Dragon Ball Z still a thing?
It is, but it's not what it used to be.
I don't see see Disney being like, "Hey, I want."
They never made their board games.
X amount of dollars doesn't seem worth it for Disney.
This is. I think this is amazing.
It's important to note that the contract is multi-year, and this is something they highlighted a lot in the article.
Yeah, they were really worried about what I was highlighting.
Yeah.
Because they were basically like, this needs to be extended so that new sets can come out and that kind of thing. And organized play was also highlighted. So George, maybe I'm wrong, and the demographic for this is older. And you know what? Like the Star Wars thing, it depends on where they go with it. If it is...
I am so fracking hyped for this. This has been the best news week ever with Disney coming out with the new TCG and Metazoo going into arcades. I cannot handle my excitement this week.
I love it. All right, Disney Lorcana. We will keep added to the list.
That's all we're talking about. We are now a Disney Lorcana podcast that covers other games.
Oh, I gotta learn how to play that one now too.
That's not true. We are still a Magic the Gathering podcast that covers other games. Moving on. All right.
I thought we were a Hawaiian shirt podcast that covers Magic the Gathering.
We are a Hawaiian shirt podcast that covers Lorcana. Continue,
we are
Louis.
Three dummies talking about random stuff. We're glad that you're here. Thanks for being here.
That is actually accurate. Hit that subscribe button. Hit the bell. Follow me on Twitter. Follow Louis on Instagram.
I will 100% follow you on Twitter. Are you on Twitter, or is this like Creed? Is this like Creed from The Office, and your wife like makes like a little?
You cannot tweet me. You cannot at me, bro.
Oh my gosh, Louis.
Yes.
A George Quotes account. You and me.
I love it.
Split the monetization.
Wait, what?
All right, let's talk about Dominaria United, particularly Josh and I.
Can we talk about Lorcana some more?
Josh and I just today opened up boxes. So
wow, you pulled a Legends card. How did that make you feel?
Card. All right, Josh, give it to me. You can give it to me now. Give me your bet.
Give what? I don't know what you're talking about.
I pulled a Legends card.
You pulled a Legends card and did exactly what I said you would do. I am so mad at you, and then instantly said in our group chat. Or no, you called me, guys. He called me out on the video. He opens a Legends card. He goes hype. He goes crazy. He looks up the value, sees that the value is nothing, and then goes, "You know what? But it's not about the value. I was so happy to pull this card," and then called me out. That was what I said. I sent you the clip. I clipped it from the episode.
He did, and I sent it on the group chat, and it made me really, really, really happy.
Okay.
God, today's been amazing. Today has been amazing.
I did the same thing, and it felt so cool. This card, I didn't even look at the value. Lucas, how much was it? I have no idea.
Is there any video evidence of you pulling that card?
No, shut up. Go check out. You can check out the video and see why there's no video evidence at youtube.com/HometownTCG. Continue, George.
Okay. Let me defend myself.
/CompeteSport, and if somebody has an account, tell them I say hi.
Let me defend myself a little bit.
Okay.
I think I was trying to say this was really fun. Josh was right. pulling it is fun, but the value of it's not going to hold up the collector box value. That's what I was trying to say.
Did you just say Josh was right?
You were that. So I think both of us were right in a couple ways.
Oh, okay. That's the Louis I know. Here we go. No, okay. I was really I was gonna cause like.
I have an idea. You could make a stretch Armstrong TCG since you stretch your point so long.
Wow. I had fun opening the box. When I opened the card, it was fun. I still don't think it's going to affect the value of the box moving forward.
You're insane.
You literally just say draft boxes, part of the value long-term is an experience. You just opened this box and had an experience and went crazy on camera over this experience. And now you're like, the experience doesn't matter.
What other collector box do you have any shot of pulling a $3,000 card in?
The Neon Dynasty?
Nope, that's $2,000. Yeah, that's actually less than $2,000. So you're only off by about 50%.
But the percentage of pulling it's incredibly much higher.
It doesn't matter.
We don't know that.
Shot at pulling.
We do know that. We know the exact data. We know all the exact data. It's a way better addition to the EV. It's still minimal. It's a way better addition to the EV in Kamigawa than it is in
I don't
Dominaria.
think that's true.
Yes, it is. There's
a
3% chance in Kamigawa. 3%.
No, boo-boo. No, boo-boo. That's only true for the lower version of that card. Yeah. The higher versions don't have the exact percentages out.
Okay.
Let's be specific if we're going to talk EV. I've heard this before about you.
That is true. That is true that we don't know the exact percentage. Actually, we might actually know the exact percentage.
I know.
But it's not 3% across the board. You're right.
I know.
My point is there's a much better chance of pulling a very bad card compared to the Kamigawa where there's not a very bad version of that card in the
Congrats.
3%.
Boxes tend to have negative EV. Come back next week for America's Coldest Takes.
I still think Dominaria United is a really great box and should be $250. So
it is.
I know.
And it will be.
It's the sprinkles on top because the rest of the stuff in the box is so good.
Did you get any Lilianas?
Dude, okay, we both got a Liliana Veil. Which what's the price on that already? Do you know? Are you gonna
you're gonna get wrecked, Josh. You're gonna get wrecked. You're done.
You think he's gonna get wrecked? I'm starting to get a little nervous. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Why are you getting nervous?
I'm getting a little nervous.
You think I'm gonna get wrecked?
Yeah.
Oh, you're so wrong. Oh, I'm gonna just crush both of you. God, that's great.
You said $16, right?
I said 16 to 20, and Louis said 45.
This is fair.
It's going to be
take a box of collectors from Louis that's like half his allocation. Be nice.
And we're already at 42 on pre-sale.
On pre-sale for the regular version.
Yeah, it's the regular version.
I'm not worried at all. I will sleep like a baby tonight.
Yeah, because you have no skin in the game.
Bingo! All I can think about is an amazing Disney game and Metazoo Arcade.
So, Dominaria United, the collector box, man, it's a freaking awesome experience, and it pulls. It's like Double Masters. It pulls like at so many different strings with the Painlands, the Liliana of the Veil, bringing back some nostalgia. There's a Goyf that just hits you. There's some commons and uncommons.
The really Karn too.
The card is cool thematically. It's trash, but the art is really nice on that card.
It's just Karn, like
collector boxes.
You hate what?
I hate how much I love these collector boxes.
Are you gonna open it? You never open boxes.
Oh, they're so fun.
I can't do it. No. It's against my ethos.
And then, as usual, the etched foils continue to be amazing.
I want to talk about the etched foils because I feel like it's hard to evaluate etched foils because they change them so often. But these etched foils, I think, look better than any of the other ones. They made the text box super etchy, and then the rest of the card is just like a regular foil. But the text box is like, I don't know. I think it's really cool.
Yeah.
Those are just the regular etch. That's not the one I was sharing.
Oh,
did you see the one I was sharing?
How many etches are there?
I said that's the stained glass.
Textured. I'm sorry. This is textured. I'm sorry, everyone.
That's okay.
Yeah.
That's which is part of the problem with opening this box is it feels like there's more variance in this box. Did you have the same feeling?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It felt like there's even more variance.
Magic is just like, I love how when you're going up to put up cards, like the what used to be box topper, which is then they changed to full art, and now it's extended. Okay, and then it's going to be borderless. It's like, just pick a lane. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, but it's cool. I think it's super fun to open, and I think the set is going to do really well.
And it looks like set boosters might be a little bit delayed.
That's a big deal.
It's not a big deal at all, but continue.
I mean, it's a big deal for the market. If you need boxes now, there's far less boxes.
I got great allocations for Dominaria.
Yeah, I mean, I got what I asked for.
Yeah, really?
I don't think I got cut at all. You have to do some selling.
That's really good sign for Lily at $20.
Yeah, that is.
You didn't cut on collectors?
I mean, I didn't ask for 500.
What'd you ask for?
Usually ask, I think 24 or 48. I don't remember. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Me too, actually.
Yeah.
I don't think the set booster getting delayed is a big deal. I think it'll be fine. I also I already got all mine for pre-release, so like those are obviously not delayed.
Yeah. Right. You could have sold me if draft were delayed. That was a problem.
Yeah.
George, how is your pre-release going to be this weekend?
Do you like rain? So for those of you who don't know, we've had some monsoon season here in Best Carolina, and I'm on a military base, and part of dealing with a military base is dealing with the military bureaucracy. So that means in order to get anything fixed, you don't get to call someone and be like, hey man, can you fix this? You have to call like 85 people up and down the chain. So I have a few leaks and I have no internet. Now, if you're thinking, hey,
and
George,
you can't carry all the games, so you're not even a store.
That follows. But
Louis, have you considered running a YouTube channel out of this building?
You looking for somebody to like live in your building, George? Because my basement doesn't flood anymore. I
only want to carry two things. I only want to carry Lorcana and the Metazoo arcade. That's it. That's all my store will have.
It's just the arcade. It's just
the arcade game and Lorcana boxes next to it.
That's great. Oh my gosh. We should have talked about distribution for Lorcana. Never mind. We'll get into it later.
Every distributor will be chopping off their arms to get into Lorcana.
Anyway, Dominaria looks good. We don't know what this set's gonna.
So I think it looks like a good set. I will say, like, not a lot. Like everybody got really good allocations. This is going to be a really interesting test for Magic because I think the demand for this set is sky high. Like, I think there's a lot of demand for this set. Fair. But I don't think there's a lot of supply for this set. I think this is going to be a very, very, very healthy release.
You said you don't think there's a lot of supply?
I think there is a lot of supply.
Yeah, I heard you wrong.
Okay, I did too.
Do you think that part of that is that stores are ordering less boxes as a result of the current economic?
Stores have PTSD from a certain Commander Legend set that Louis said was better than the first Commander Legend set. I think stores are still like so brutalized from that experience. Like, I can now order boxes from distribution for $80 less than I did on release weekend.
Yeah. Whoa, wait, what?
Yeah.
Like, I cannot explain how brutal that set was for stores.
Yep.
Remember when a great looking man said to dump your boxes?
I do.
I don't recall saying that.
I don't remember you saying that either. That's perfect.
I listened to Rudy instead.
How'd that go?
Yeah.
Then he bought it from distribution at pennies on the dollar this week, which I love. God, I love Rudy. God, I love Rudy. Rudy is the best.
Rudy. Thanks, Rudy.
I love him. Rudy is so good.
I'm a patron. I like him.
Yeah.
I'm not a patron. I just like him.
Yeah, that's fair. You're not a patron of anybody.
Bingo. Can't buy my love.
All right.
Yes, I could. Well, maybe not me.
Can buy my love. I don't know if someone can buy my love.
You can definitely buy your love. All right, moving on from Dominaria.
Buy my love.
All right. Let's talk about. We're going to talk about Cryptic. So Cryptic just recently did.
I thought we changed the order to go to Genesis first. We did this a minute ago.
I didn't change.
No, we just placated to you.
Yeah, we just.
Why do we change the order of the podcast? This makes no sense for viewers.
Keep people on their toes
for this.
Yeah,
for
this is good content.
This is terrible.
This is why
we changed the order.
Okay, so I want to have
what do you think about sorcery?
This is not just about Cryptic.
It's Cryptic time.
This is about all games, but Cryptic is the one who is leading this promotion. So I want to talk. That's what's talking. So they started a new Facebook campaign a couple weeks ago that basically they are advertising their game as all you need is the cards. You show up with your deck, and that's all you need. You don't need dice. You don't need counters. You don't need a play mat. You don't need anything else. You can play your game anywhere you want, on a table, on a couch, on a airport floor. You can play your game anywhere. And I think that's a really cool sales point to the game. If you go back to Magic the Gathering, originally the game was, between D&D sessions, sit down and jam a game of Magic, right?
We're going to mention that every week.
By the way,
hey Louis, wait, before you go any further, are there different cards in the second printing of Cryptic and the first printing of Cryptic?
Yes, there are. Wave 2 has different cards. Really cool.
That makes sense. That follows.
So I think it's really good. I think if you look at all the card games, if you look at Magic now, there's stickers, there's counters, there's tokens, there's what?
There's not stickers yet.
There's going to be.
Let me enjoy this.
You need all these things. If you look at Genesis, you need a grid. Sorcery, you need a grid. Metazoo, there's a million tokens, there's a million counters, there's a million of the Pokemon the same way. There's a million things to track. I think it's really cool that you can just grab the cards and play it. What are your thoughts, Josh, as the player of TCGs?
So you're not going to like my take on this. I've never cared. And so Cryptic, we covered the comic book, correct? That's the right game. And I loved the comic book. I went in, I got the download link. I checked. That was freaking so good.
So
this
good
to me,
so
that
good.
You're saying as a selling point doesn't mean anything to me. It's taking putting my deck box and dice in a bag for me personally doesn't do anything to sell it. It's if I'm at a game store, there's dice available, there's paper, there's things. I've used sideways cards for counters, so that doesn't mean as much to me, but maybe for the casual fan. Go ahead, George. Sorry.
You're fine. So I want to make a better point than Louis. Here is what I think it points to. I think what Cryptic has figured out, much like Lorcana is figuring out, is
which you know nothing about. Nothing.
I was about to say, but you know what they figured out. Got it.
Go ahead.
Is that there is a very open market in simpler card games, which we do know because they admitted in the press release, you freaking dodo birds. So
it's also going to be printed on gold.
Why not? We can speculate about what every other card game is going to one day print on. We might as well speculate what they print on too. So I think that what Cryptic has figured out is that there is meaningful demand, in my opinion, for a less complex card game.
Yeah, that's fair.
I think that is going to be the secret sauce to Cryptic.
That's generally what I'm saying. But one of the ways that plays out is in the amount of stuff that you need to play the game.
Now, that means something to me, because as someone who's going to, if I pick up Cryptic, I'm not going to stop playing the card games I play. I'm not going to stop playing Magic. But if I'm able to pick up Cryptic quickly and enjoy it, and I don't need much, I can play it at a moment's notice, that I could be sold that is clutch. Because it can become part of my rotation.
I think that is what Tanner is trying to figure out. I think you can see him trying to figure that out in what Louis started off with, poorly stated. You can see that in the decks that you can just get and play with right away.
The booster decks.
You can see that Tanner's trying to figure out, how do I make a simple game where I can just sit down right away and play it, which I think is going to be good for two reasons. First, not many people are fighting for the simple game category. There's a lot of people fighting for the most advanced, most competitive, most off the wall. Like Tanner's fighting for a different market, which I think is really, really smart. You want to find the blue ocean strategy on this. Like I think that is true. I also think the bigger thing he's going to figure out is it's going to be much easier to get new players.
Yeah.
Because instead of saying like, hey, I have to do a learn to play day, which right now I have to do for games like Genesis and Metazoo, it's going to be come learn to play in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Come learn to play before Friday Night Magic, and I'm going to teach you a new game, and I'll buy your entry into Friday Night Magic.
And on top of that, the game is already very similar mechanically to Magic the Gathering in that it's got the land structure. That being said, every card still matters. Like, like Flesh and Blood, every card has the ability to be a resource, which I think is really cool too. So it's not just like land cards in your deck. So I think he's got it figured out. And I think that simplicity is really, really, really super important.
I think leading into the casual audience is such a move. We see a bunch of other TCGs come out and they say, we're going to hit the organized play. We're going to be the most competitive. And realistically, that's kind of a hard barrier to crack into. I think the better route is to get a bunch of people around tables playing games, whether it's through organized play or before your FNM at the game store, whatever it is, putting the cards in these players' hand. Now, is that the most profitable and the easiest to market? Definitely not. But it does build a more solid fan base, and that fan base has the ability to grow. I mean, that community is more welcoming, right? They're more open than
the Cryptic players, right? I also think this is where Tanner does have some secret sauce in this as well, right? Because he does have this idea that he's working very hard to build collectability into the boxes because it's a simpler game.
Yeah.
So there will be case cards in the boxes that I think will hold some real value.
Sure.
But like I think like the way those cards will retain value will be because there'll be a lot of people playing the game because the game is simple to learn and play.
Well, and I think it's important that collectors want to play the game.
I think that's true.
So some other things that we've seen in the past is like collectors are just collecting and they don't actually impact and they don't actually play the game. And so as a result, excuse me, their connection to the game is less. Like day to day, their connection to the game is less. I'm not saying like they're not interested in collecting, but every day they're playing or collecting or doing whatever. And so they're interested in the game more. I think that's really super important.
Yeah, that definitely builds a more valuable consumer, right? When the consumer is a collector and they play the game, they have 2 points of attachment. If they're just collecting and then something bad happens with the gameplay, they're either out of touch with it and don't care and the community falls apart, right?
Yeah. And on top of that, we've talked a lot about on the podcast, the idea that like TCG industry is smaller than all of us thought it was like 6 months ago. And so if you take, I'm just spitballing here, but if you take the video game industry, there's 100 people in the video game industry. Then there's like 10 in the TCG industry, maybe that's even a stretch. If you take competitive TCG players, it's like 1 like that. The scale is so by being a game that can market to the general like TCG crowd, I think it's really good. So
I mean, that's the secret sauce. Look at Magic. Magic has hit its stride in recent decades with casual play, and that's just it's blown up. The game spread like a virus.
You will only ever meaningfully grow a game through casual play. Yes. You will never, ever, ever, ever meaningfully grow a game through competitive play. There's not enough competitive players because it's like this is a definition problem, right? Every competitive player can be a casual player. Not every casual player can be a competitive player.
Right.
The market for casual players is definitionally larger.
Yeah.
Like you will never grow a game to be huge with competitive play. It just like the math isn't there.
Yeah.
Well, it works out to time too, right? If the majority of the people only have, a couple hours to spend on a game, they're going to be casual players. And I want them to be interested for the couple hours of free time that they have. Now, will there always be people that take that couple hours and multiply it and figure it out and get way better than everyone else? Sure. But there's, like you said, there's fewer people. Yes, I've heard of your prowess, and I'm actually I don't want to play against you in any TCG.
Nobody wants to play against me.
Don't play Arcana.
I just can't play that game.
I am so hyped. I cannot handle it.
I want to cast the game between your daughter and George.
Yes, that'd be great.
I so badly want to cast.
I just want to see George's face so sad when he gets beat by a 4-year-old girl.
I'm a great loser. I have no problem losing.
There's no way that's true.
Know. That's absolutely. Ask anybody in my store. I got no problem losing at TCGs. None.
All right. let's move on to a retail version of Genesis.
Are we not going to talk about the Cryptic tournament, which is the one thing I asked to talk about Cryptic? Is that like,
all right?
Hey, George, do you have a Cryptic tournament?
No, I did not, but Tanner did. And shout out to Tanner because he is taking balance very, 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 very seriously. Yeah. Like this, which is why I want to give him his props, Louis. So in his tournament,
things to talk about next week too, but it's okay. Go ahead.
Give everybody we talk about tournament from 2 weeks ago next week. Great call, Louis.
Yeah.
So in this tournament, he had 2 aggro decks in the finals, but last month they had one that was the finals was control versus mid range. Lots of diversity in the field and lots of 2-1 results. And that's what you want to see. I always tell people, like, show me the final 8, show me the final 4, and I'll tell you how good the game is balanced. Yeah. If your final 8 is good, your final 4 is good, you're going to have a balanced game. It's that simple. And so, like, when Tanner is saying, I have a bunch of different decks in the top 8, I got them in the top 4, month to month, they're different decks, aggro versus control. It tells me 2 things. A, it tells me the game seems pretty balanced. And it also tells me he really cares that it is. Because he's caring enough to look at this, be like, okay, what decks won last month? What decks won this month? Are we seeing the results that are in line with a balanced TCG?
Yeah.
And that makes me very, very, very happy. I've always said this, that I want these games to be balanced and play tested. Tanner seems to be doing both of those very, very well right now. And like big props. That's good. That's what we want to see. And also, more props. His boxes are priced where a new TCG box should be priced. I want to talk about that next week, though. That's a good topic for next week.
Yeah.
Little teaser.
I'm not taking anything away from Tanner, but just to balance out your monologue there, one set is much different than like if you're comparing to Magic. Like
balance starts one set at a time.
I agree. And I'm not taking anything away. And it's incredibly hard.
Profound thing you've ever said.
You talk about how great gameplay is in games that haven't been produced yet. Tanner can deserve props for games that have been produced. Shout out to Tanner. Continue, Louis.
I'm sure that's super fair. Games have been produced. I have the test decks.
Shout out to Maelstrom. Okay.
But I've never.
Shout out to Maelstrom.
Hold on. I want to highlight.
What up, Green Book?
I've never talked about either of those games. My track record on my channel for talking about games that don't just like disappear is pretty dang good. I'm pretty happy with it.
Thanks to this podcast. Continue.
Okay, George, your permission to move on to the next topic?
Yes.
Please.
Now that we're done talking about the one game that's weirdly out of place and where it's been every other week, we can move on to the next game.
Well, hold on.
Okay.
Oh my
God, this is so good.
I got nothing. I was just messing with it.
I love how you can see Louis die this episode. This is great. This is a great episode. I'm loving this.
You get to watch the light leave.
There you go. All right. Retail Genesis. Retail Genesis. Oh, they got him.
Did you get more free stuff from Genesis, Josh?
They got him.
You haven't got yours yet?
They got him. I love it.
Here, you want a sticker? I'll send you a sticker. We'll make up.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, dude, this is sweet. It's amazing.
TCGs love sending people stickers, man.
Wait, I'm not just gonna bang on Louis, George. You got to get yours too. Here, you can have one of my packs. It's fine.
There you go. There you go. There's some J2, George. All right. So Genesis put out basically like a last call to retailers on Kickstarter. So now starting, I think next week, is it, George? Like,
yeah.
Next week, retailers can only get the new retail version of the new Origin set, which I think is pretty cool. I think the timeline of that's really good.
I think that's good. My only small critique of it, and I should have talked to some about this privately before I said it publicly, I'm sorry, is that like doing that the week of Dominaria and Pokemon release might put stores in a little bit of a tough spot, as you know.
Yeah.
We have 6-figure wires leaving this week and next week for pre-release and release of both Pokemon and Magic. But like, you know, that's not Assad's fault. I think that's fine. I think it's good. And also, like, listen, like Origins retail is going to be perfectly great. It's not like you're gonna miss out on a box topper, but you get some. You miss out on the good box topper.
Yeah.
But you do get some flavor text on your box, which is a big deal to like 4 people in the world, but they won't shut up about it.
Isn't there flavor tests on the cards too?
What am I, a wizard? I don't know.
I think they added flavor.
I do not care at all about flavor text.
Yeah, that's a big change. I'm not big. I don't really see that. I think
when you spend a bunch of time playing, flavor text is cool, but if you're not spending a bunch of time with the cards, you'll never notice it.
I only want flavor text on the Disney game. I want to be little Disney facts on the bottom.
I want flavor text. I'm gonna make in the Louis DeGeorge TCG in
Stretch Armstrong.
Stretch Armstrong.
God.
George and Louis. What's your dog's name?
Ollie and me TCG.
Marley and me. And the Ollie and me TCG, there's going to be flavor text that's actually flavored. It's going to be like not scratch and sniff, but scratch and lick. Huh.
That'll be good. I had lunch with one of my buddies who went to law school in Boston. I'll ask their idea on this one. I have a feeling I know their thoughts. They do IP law. So like, God, what would an Ollie and me scratch and smell feel like? Not good.
No, not smell.
Good. It's not smell. Not smell, George.
What, you're going to taste Ollie?
It's going to be different flavored dog food.
That follows. I'm in. Yeah. I'm in. Never mind. You've converted me.
Anyway, flavor text. Well,
I think
to the podcast.
Yes, right. I think the Origins retail will be great.
Ketchup flavored, ranch flavored. It's all different condiments.
Makes me think of when I took a bite of a card on stream for like a couple hundred concurrent viewers. Was that flavor text?
And the flavor text scratches the button, it can say something like about ketchup or about ranch. I think
you get a ranch fact.
The challenge would be set coming up with the different flavors, because like at some point you're into the what's the jelly beans.
You know how bad of a sign it is that I'm the one that's on track? Do you know how bad it is that you know how bad of a sign that is for the podcast?
Don't interrupt the CFO, the chief flavor officer. Okay. The CFO's talking, George.
The Jelly Bellies, you got like a list of flavors. You gotta scratch it and lick it, and then like you gotta get it right in order to get the card bonus effect. Why hasn't anybody done this yet? I mean, Magic's making stickers that you peel off. Why can't you just like? Okay, move on. Sorry, George. Just don't say flavor text again, and I'll be fine. If you say flavor text, I'm gonna lose it. And the next time I see flavor text on a card, I'm gonna eat it. That's just how it's gonna happen.
I just want George to start gnawing on a trading card right now. He's waiting for you to finish.
Okay, you gotta take it away. I can't do it.
That's been obvious. That's been obvious this whole year. So I have no idea where I was. No clue.
Flavor text.
I don't even know what game we're talking about. I'll be honest with you guys.
We're talking about Genesis and
their flavor text.
Yeah.
So yep, that was it.
I don't think that's going to be different enough. I don't think it matters. I think these games are trying to do things that are like
you're trying to bring this back?
Yeah.
You're over the cliff. You can't climb back up.
Climb back up. Don't bring me down. Don't push me down. I got my hands up here. Don't step on my fingers.
Oh my Mufasa. I am the king now.
Back to Disney Lorcana. This is perfect. They need flavor text.
Oh, I forgot. You could have a Mufasa. That's gonna be collectible.
Thank you.
A Mufasa card's gonna be collectible.
Josh finally figured out what card he wants in this.
No, I said Luke Skywalker. But,
I know.
But Mufasa will be cool too.
Okay. Anyway, these games are trying to do things.
I cried so hard the first time I saw Lion King.
What does the Pumbaa card taste like?
Oh my God, when he saw his dad dead, that was so sad. Spoiler.
Spoiler. Okay, can we get back to this? I've tried to say this like for all these card games are trying to make a way for the retail version to not kill the Kickstarter version and become worthless. That's what all the games are trying to do. And I think it comes back to like, what are the expectations in terms
of worry about producing their Kickstarter boxes?
I think what it comes back to is what is the expectation from a consumer standpoint to say, hey, when do I need those boxes? If you missed out on the Kickstarter and now the Kickstarter box is $250, you don't really want to wait 6 more months until the retail version.
I think Genesis has a unique handle on that, though. Like, because they're a player game. They're a player's game. So, like,
but we've said that they can't.
There will be permanent demand for these boxes as long as Genesis people play.
That's fair.
There's no bubble in Genesis that I can see. There's not, like, the hype seems to always pass over Genesis for some reason I'll never fully understand, but I'm fine with. Like, every other game, every other TCG that's ever existed will have an enormous spike and crash, except for Genesis, which will just plod along, which I think is how their players want it and how I think Assad wants it, to be honest. Yeah. I just find it, like, so strange that, like all these, like, Dream Book, a game that, like, only existed in a dude's dream, had a bubble for a brief minute.
Yeah.
And, like,
did that burst? I haven't been following.
The game's never going to be produced. It's over. It's over. Oh, yes. Like, I should walk that back. I think it's over. I should be careful. I think it's over. Like,
don't want to get banned from Dream.
I don't want to get banned from Dream Book.
How many boxes did they print before it was over?
Like, how did Dream Book have a boom and bust? And Genesis just, like...
I think it's because some individuals get involved in it, and
I think that's true. It's the same 7 people every time.
You see this in the Discord servers for all the games.
All of them. It's amazing.
There's the same...
Nostalgics. Like, Nostalgics was, like, the worst of this.
Yeah. That's where they got caught.
Yeah, that's where they got caught. That's where they got busted. That's where they got busted. They got too cute with the day -100 boxes.
Yeah. I got my shipping notification for that.
You did not kickstart Nostalgics.
Well, I missed out on the wave.
Day -100.
All the people who were involved in it.
That was the grossest.
So I have 3 day -500 boxes coming from 3 different Kickstarter accounts. Because they still had you get one of them because remember they did the whole thing where you could get like as many as you want for like 5 seconds.
That Kickstarter made me so angry.
Yeah, I hate the way that's what I liked about Genesis Kickstarter. Which
absolutely, Genesis had the way Kickstarters should be done.
Yeah.
If you want a box, you get a box. If you're a retailer, you get ways to promote the game in store. Every game that wants to actually be around in 3 years should pull up Genesis Kickstarter and do it that way.
Sorcery did the same thing. So are you gonna eat crow on that, or
wait, what?
Sorcery did the same thing. So are you gonna eat crow on that, or like
No. I'm sorry. Also have Rudy make sure you get $2 million in sales in 24 hours.
Sorry. Yeah, there you go.
And make more boxes than every other game's Kickstarter combined, basically. Not true. That's also not true. We're talking about Sorcery in a minute. So somebody asked me a very thought-provoking question for me about Sorcery that I want to get your thoughts on that.
Oh, so now you're changing the podcast because you said we weren't talking about Sorcery today.
So I think like every TCG that wants to be around should be following Genesis's Kickstarter.
I agree.
I think it was the best. The best.
I agree. So the 500 Kickstarters that start this month for whatever reason.
I mean, like, and all, like. It also does bring confidence to the market that, like, okay, these people do care about how their game looks, feels, and plays.
Yeah.
It's not just based on the same 7 whales getting all -100 boxes and trying to flip them for attendees the second they get them. That doesn't work anymore.
Mm-mm.
The gig's up. Up.
No more free attendees. Do not buy a TCG unless you want to actually
the game we should get credit for is SoulForge. SoulForge also did very well with Kickstarter.
Yeah.
And like, I'm at a SoulForge store. I probably won't carry it, to be honest. I might, but it's not on my list right now. But like, they did it right. They deserve credit for that.
We've got SoulForge. I carry it, and I haven't had a chance to play it yet. But Zach McCall is going to start running events in the Discord server, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, and like, the game should be good.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's a fine game. I got no beef with SoulForge. I think it's, if the SoulForge army comes for me, I'm going to riot. I think like the SoulForge will be a great game. I like the way they did their Kickstarter. I like the way they do distribution. I think they're doing a lot right.
Yeah. Okay. You want to go to Sorcery? I don't have it written down.
Somebody asked me a question about Sorcery that I thought was really good, and I'll be intrigued to see if they feel this way. First of all, I want to give a shout out to Sorcery. They have always been very kind to me. They've always tried to assuage my fears, which I don't think are unfounded, to be honest. And they don't either. Like, they think I'm being fair.
I love it. You and I not agreeing on things is great. That's because you
love the eyeballs that I bring to you because I say what others are thinking but are too scared to say.
No, you and I disagreeing on things is super fun. When Josh and I got in an argument earlier, this is what I live for, is arguments.
You live for arguing. Tell Carol I say hi.
Tomorrow.
So the number one piece of information I want to hear from Sorcery is who the printer is.
Interesting.
I think if they were to come out tomorrow, and I'd eat crow on this one. If they were to come out tomorrow and say, Group X is printing my boxes, this is when I have my printer time, I think that'd be very positive. My issue with Sorcery has never been gameplay or art or any of that. I think they have the. Do I think they have the best art of any TCG? You could convince me. Like I think you get into weird discussions of like Metazoo versus Sorcery, like right. Very different art styles. You get into weird discussions about that. But like I think you could convince
me from a fantasy art standpoint. I think it'd be very hard to argue against Sorcery.
I agree.
Yeah.
So like I think like
you don't like the art, Josh? Wait, hold on. I got to know if Josh doesn't like the art because he's shaking his head like he doesn't.
When you're talking about great TCG art, I generally don't pick the TCG that has some of the most like unique and for a definite certain taste art. Like he compared it to Metazoo, and I'm not saying Metazoo's art's bad. Metazoo's art's subjective, but it is controversial. Like it does stand out, and it's weird to say
art being controversial, not allowed to be good. You heard it here on KitchenTableTCG first.
Oh, good. You didn't say my channel.
Good
you
art
the right
is
one.
controversial.
Did you guys know that the Mona Lisa was like considered like a not great piece of art
until it was stolen?
It was stolen.
Everybody knows this.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that until
follows.
this weekend. Oh,
you read it in the book.
That tracks.
No, I saw it in a TV show.
That follows more. So I think Sorcery has the best art. You can convince me, and this is where I want to know the printer. You can convince me they're going to have the best foiling of any TCG.
Yeah, I mean, once I hold it in my hand, the picture looks amazing. The video looked amazing.
Yes. Who made the video?
The video for Magic's Warhammer foiling, everybody was like, this looks dumb. This looks horrible. I kind of liked it, but everybody said it looked horrible. Like the video for this came out, everybody thinks it looks sweet.
I think if I were Sorcery, if I were Eric, what up, Eric? I would say come on the podcast. Shush. I would say this is who my printer is. This is why I'm confident my boxes will ship in November.
Let me ask you something.
Yep.
Has Sorcery missed deadlines?
They have, but that doesn't bother me. That does not bother. Like that has never been my issue with Sorcery.
Okay.
That they're going to miss the deadline.
But
it's a Kickstarter.
Then why is the expectation for Kickstarted Sorcery that they must announce their printer and date when that's not the expectation with other?
Because their print run is freaking enormous and it's coming up fast.
So, okay. So you
like
the
they
argument
have to
is
print a lot of boxes, and they just updated cards like a month ago.
Yeah, this is fair. This is a fair.
I just wanted to know where the argument was coming from.
Like the timeline, I think is a struggle, especially because, like, listen, the benefit of their foiling is that it looks amazing.
Yes.
The cost of their foiling is that not everybody can do it, and it takes time.
Yeah, it's like a triple print thing.
So, like, there's only a few printers that can do cold foiling, which it looked like they were doing.
I don't think it's necessarily cold. It's like I forget what they called it.
That looked like cold foiling to me.
But it's a
I could be wrong.
Style of foiling.
So,
like, I also think it's fair to ask this question because they've made the collectability of the foils a centerpiece of their game.
That's fair.
But let me also be clear here. I think every Kickstarter should disclose who their printer is. Every one of them.
I don't necessarily care about disclosing a printer. I think that's a little bit I don't know, maybe, I mean, I guess we all know Magic's at Card Monday, so it's not that weird. I guess that's not that weird.
Assad's told us who's his is.
What are you going to do? Like double check that they're printing? Like, what does that mean to you? Like, I think for me, I don't understand where the negativity for Sorcery's print comes from. Like, I hear this not just from you, but like on the internet. I think even like Rudy said, like, I'm not going to talk about Sorcery until they actually produce product. Like, yeah. I don't
Rudy's
understand why. Like, is the question really are they going to walk away from everybody with their money?
No,
and like
no.
Well, that's the implication. Just so you know,
not.
when you make that argument, that's what it feels like.
No, that's not the implication. One iota. Let me be very clear.
I think it is the implication.
That's not. If you would let me explain what I'm implying or stating, not implying when I state it, boo boo. Here's what I think.
It's an angry.
I think you will absolutely get your boxes if you back Sorcery. I'm not promising. I don't work for Sorcery, I guess, obviously. I think you will get your boxes. Here's what I want to know. Will the cards you're going to get look like the cards they have put out in the video?
Sure.
Okay.
There are very few places that can do foiling that nice. Are you in one of those very few printers?
I would be very, very, very... Okay. Can you let me respond to you at some point?
Okay, no. And if you are at one of those printers, they're usually very backed up, which is where I think understanding where you are in the timeline is also important. Now you may rant about how they're going to do OP kits.
That's not what I was going to.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I think like your argument is fine. I think though, like the idea of not getting the product doesn't exist to me. I think more importantly, I don't think Sorcery will ever not produce a product that is very, very good. It has been very, let me finish. It has been very, very important for them to produce very high quality cards and products from the beginning. When listen, you have never held a Sorcery card in your life.
They produce samples. They produce like 50 cards.
Will you listen? Don't do what people say they're going to do. Do what they do, right? You've said this on the podcast a million times. When they sent me the sample box, he almost didn't send it. He almost said, sorry, we're not doing this anymore because the box got printed and it's upside down. The box got printed and in this
sad.
Look, it's upside down.
That flavor text?
He was so upset about it. He cared so much. Louis,
and that's my point. That kind of precision that he's looking for can only come from a certain very small number of printers.
But that's not your point. What you said
is my point.
It might not be as high quality as their photos. My point is that it will be as high quality as their photos. It will be as high quality as the video. If anything happens, it's going to be delays. And I think a more fair critique based on what they have done is to talk about, can they deliver by November, which is really important. I'm not going to skirt over how important that is. A November delivery right in front of Christmas is pretty strong and pretty important for the market of Sorcery and for the collectability of the game and for that kind of thing. I think that's very, very important, but I'm not worried about Eric, like not producing what he has said he was going to do. That doesn't concern me based on his actions in the past.
I think it should concern people. I'm not saying he won't deliver. I'm not saying that. I'm saying I would feel a lot more confident if he would tell us how. I think I said this before. I think every Kickstarter should tell us where they're printing.
Does
I think
that
they should.
mean that
Like why? Like this isn't a state secret. They're not printing nuclear codes. They're printing cardboard games. Like it's not like it's like like it's also like we all know where all these different games are printed. I can tell you where basically every TCG currently on the market is printed.
I found 2 more sample cards that I bought off of people.
Like which one can't I tell you? Like all the games I carry, I can tell you where they're printed.
Okay. Great conversation. Josh, you were going to say something, and then let's move on to something that makes George happy.
Yes!
All right. Sorcery is easily you
are the worst human being to ever walk the planet.
Sorcery is easily going to be the best what happens on this podcast.
I want to be very clear here. I want 3 months after release before we figure out what's going on.
We're going to talk about Sorcery a lot on release, and it's going to be very, very interesting.
Great. Okay, that's great. Let me tell you what they're not going to do. You heard what they're not going to do? They're not going to produce an arcade game. Okay?
This is fair.
That's not on their roadmap.
This is fair. All right. Go ahead. Give
Hype. They got arcade games coming out. They got vending machine cards coming out. I am super pumped for Metazoo arcade game. Super pumped.
Okay, can you make sure everybody knows that you own arcades?
Of course. If you don't know I own arcades, welcome to your first episode of May the Zoo be with you. We're glad you're here. Hit the subscribe, hit the bell. Josh is the dingus on the right or top or left or whatever the hell they put Josh this
Listen,
week.
There's nothing wrong with first-time viewers.
I am the guy that has the smaller rectangle.
Oh, rectangle.
That's not the guy that has... That's not what I heard.
That's not what I heard either.
What do you hear?
Nothing.
But we're leaving it in.
Arcade games.
You can go back and re-listen to George say I have the smaller rectangle.
Yeah, I think I might clip stuff from this podcast every week. And I'm on it.
Okay. So this was a cool announcement because the games are really good. Like, I think it's really cool. I don't know how much it does for the brand of Metazoo. Like, how many people go to an arcade?
A lot. There are way more people who go to Dave & Buster's than ever go to a Magic store. I can promise you that.
Like, it would be cool if we gave details about the arcade game and the plan for people who might not know.
I don't think I can disclose that yet.
Okay. It doesn't exist. There's an announcement. George
so the announcement
that he has Scoopies again. Great.
Oh, great.
Yeah,
okay.
Yay. Super great.
I feel like I have to do this weekly.
So the announcement is the same partner will be making our first arcade game that's making the vending series of cards. I want to talk about the cards for a second. A Metazoo sprite fighting game that will be in arcades across the US. Best part, there will be a Metazoo arcade series of cards that are dispensed to the winners. More details for it. That's really cool.
I am hyped.
That's
cool. Really cool. The idea that you have to go to an arcade to play a Metazoo game to win the card that's super cool.
And it's a very different model than the current arcade games. Right now, the current arcade meta is that if you put in your $1.50, your $1.50, you get a card, then you can play with that card in the game. To only give it to the winner, I think is very unique.
There's already a meta for getting cards to play.
Yeah. Raw Thrills has a bunch of them. Raw Thrills has Minecraft. They have DC. They have a bunch of those.
I don't know that. Like, you get the actual card that's like a trading card.
They're not a trading card. They can be used in the game to do power-ups and things like that.
Oh, they're like a code card.
Yeah, that's but they also get traded though. They're also collectible, just not meant to be.
Okay, that's cool.
So only giving the card to the winner, I think, is unique. I like it. I think it's awesome.
So this is another Metazoo thing that I think is cool to figure out what the goal is. If this is to, it just grows the brand. It's not going to bring people into playing the. I don't think you get the Metazoo. I don't think you go to the arcade and you play the Metazoo thing. You're like, oh, here's a really cool card, so now I'm going to go. I don't think that's the purpose. Is the purpose to just get now you see Metazoo in all these arcades across the country?
Yeah, the goal, Metazoo is trying to become a household name. This gets you closer to that goal. And again, there are far more people will walk into a Dave & Buster's this Friday night than will walk into a Magic store this Friday night.
That's an interesting. Yeah, I think that's correct.
Of course it is. Not in Hurricane, West Virginia. There's not.
Okay, in every real state, that will be true.
There's also no gas-powered cars. It's lights, indoor toilets,
dry basements.
Excuse me. At least my store's not flooding.
How dare you?
I am the only one whose property.
My house is fine. My house is fine.
Is not currently
Hard Magic at George's house. Who's in?
I didn't know. I didn't remember that the cards were being dispensed to winners. I am super excited. I just finished my complete set of Pokemon vending machine cards.
Are you going to commandeer my arcade section for your stupid Pokemon collection?
No, I'm just saying, like, I think it's a really cool callback to that age of Pokemon. And there's like, those cards are sweet. They're like really, there's like
they're my favorite Pokemon cards.
Yeah, they are really cool because they also coincide with the Pokemon game. And in this case, it was like the Pokemon Red and Blue. But it's really cool to see like them taking the idea from Pokemon and making it their own thing, and like creating a way that's unique to like you have to play the arcade game to win the card. Those were really, really.
So you ready for what Mike should do? You ready for this, boys? Mike needs to make a redemption only Metazoo product. You can only get it at arcades. And it contains, just like they did for Target, like a special promo, a special Mothman playing an arcade game.
Isn't that what they're doing?
What? Isn't that the card?
Isn't that the card that comes out dispensed to the winners?
But it would also be given. That way, you are also not only in the arcade, you're also in the redemption center. For those of you normies, not carnies, losers, a redemption center is where you turn in your tickets to get stuff.
Okay, I was the same thought as you, Louis.
Yeah. Okay. So you're saying the card that comes out says it's not a TCG card. It's a, hey, you won the plush Mothman that is at the.
No, I think he's saying something. I think he's saying both. I think he's saying the card still comes out of the machine, but then for 1,000 tickets, you can get the Mothman tin, which has
get a Mothman pack
and a little mini Mothman figurine or something.
Gotcha.
I think that would be freaking brilliant, because then you have another point of touch. And like, listen, I'm not naive. This isn't for my arcades. I have like 20 something arcades. This isn't for me. This is for Dave and Buster's.
Are you and Dave friends? Are you and Dave friends?
Are you more of a Buster guy?
Yeah. Which, if you had to pick between Dave and Buster,
this is for Bull New England. This is for major centers.
Yeah. Gotcha. Not crappy, floody arcades like yours.
My arcades do not flood. Only my store does.
Okay. I think that's a cool idea. I have another cool idea. I think that he should take whatever game that is being made for the arcade, and he should also do two things. You're going to hate one of them, and the other one I think is you'll probably think is a good bet. But I think that he should make retro cartridges of the arcade games that you could plug into like an old and like an old Game Boy. Like, I think that would be so cool.
Boo.
No, you don't like that? Ooh. Why? Dude, that would
rather have your stupid flavor text.
Why? That would be so cool. They make those. They make like new retro games. They do pretty well. They're on Kickstarter.
Yeah.
They do really well.
They don't do very well. They don't.
Yeah,
that's true. The new, like a new Super Nintendo game came out like 2 years ago. It did really well.
Came out 2 years ago in the middle of COVID. It did well. So did everything.
Oh my gosh. I don't know if it was actually 2 years ago. I remember exactly when it was. But
you just threw out the one set of years that we
I just like the one set of years that George could like punch right back in my face. But I think it's cool.
No. That would not be cool. Sorry, you had another thing. Do the other thing.
The other thing would be like putting the game available to play on like the website or something like that.
That's cool.
I know you hate that, George, because then people play the game, they don't come into your arcade. But you're not going to be able to do that. If you're in West Virginia, home of the Mothman, the first level.
There's arcades in West Virginia.
There's not a Dave and Buster's. The arcade in West Virginia is certainly not going to do that. Listen, I've been to the arcades in West Virginia.
All right, I will make you a deal. Mike, make a partner deal for me on the arcade games. I will get one for my arcades, and hell, I'll help Louis get one for his stupid store.
Let me say this. Why not allow LGSs to buy the arcade too and put them in their LGS?
You can. This will go through distribution of the arcade.
So I can just get it but
yeah.
Then I have to have distribution to an arcade? Is that a thing?
Yes.
I can just do that?
Yes, you could buy one today. You could buy an arcade game today. It'll take you 20 months to get a game because you don't have any connections, but like you can get a game, you can order a game tomorrow.
And you're really mean to your sales reps.
You are really mean to your sales reps. You are really mean.
We're not talking about this on the podcast.
Your sales tactics subpar.
No. We're not talking about this. One time had Josh.
We're not talking about this.
He's almost at 7,000 again. Okay.
Gosh.
Are we going to do a celebration stream? Do you guys want to do a celebration?
Yes.
I would edit this, but I'm not taking the time to edit this. Like, you two bozos are so mean and hurtful.
I was celebrating your achievements.
And I'm trying to get you distribution of arcade games. What more do you want from us?
All right. Last thing I want from Mike is a pinball machine. Not for arcades. I want it in my basement.
Yeah. Mike, if you want to make a pinball machine, holler at me. I got the hookups for the pinball machines.
Yeah.
I will put it in the background of May the Zuby with you. I would move my setup for that.
I think pinball. So here's the problem with pinball is like, man, they don't get operated anymore.
That's fine. I don't want to make money off of it. I want to pay $7,000 for a Metazoo pinball machine to put in my basement.
I just want to have
I think you should talk to somebody like Spooky Pinball. I think it'd be a really good fit for him.
Okay.
So can I ask you guys a question? And this is, I just need to wrap my head around this because this arcade game idea is exactly what we want from Metazoo, right? It's the expansion of the IP into other places.
Yes.
I have no pushbacks, no questions about the arcade idea. I'm all
about
in.
Time.
The question I have for you two, we're going with bozos or dodos this week?
Yeah. What do you feel like?
The question I have for you two morons is what is the arcade? I wanted it back right when I let it go, but I can't have it back.
If it helps any, I did not feel offended.
Yeah.
Louis will just edit this out.
You already hurt me enough.
What do the arcade games dispense?
Cards.
Cards. And George, what do you want them going to the Redemption Center to pick up? You want them to pick up cards. It really sounds like the cards and the box is the center of Metazoo. It's
That's only true if you don't understand there's a difference between a card and a box. If you don't understand there's a difference between a card and a box, then yes, they are very similar.
I think he's saying like
Mike wants cards to be collectible. I think Mike wants boxes to be playable.
So, but if boxes are never collectible, and they're really not focused on the idea of having a ton of people in one place playing the game, why would you ever get a box?
Because you want to play Metazoo.
It's not a focal point. It's getting people together to play. That's why they had it was more about the flavor. That's why they met in Salem versus meeting in New York, because they didn't necessarily want 1,000 people. They wanted the flavor in the environment.
They wanted the press.
It's the Mona Lisa.
God, would you like?
What did that have to do with that? It's stolen? I have no idea.
No. Why would you ask him to explain that, Josh? This is now on you. Everything happens now after that is on you.
They wanted the press of the stolen Mona Lisa, and that's what they wanted. Listen, I personally think that
I'm so happy you watched a movie, and now, like, no matter what we're talking about, I will shove the analogy of Mona Lisa in.
It's the Mona Lisa.
When I saw it, when I learned that, I was like, I'm going to use that on the podcast this week. I didn't know it was like a commonly known thing. Like, I didn't go to art school. Who goes to art school? Josh, can you restate your statement, please?
Please restate it in the terms of Mona Lisa, though, Josh. I'll be listening.
George, can you not interrupt him and yell at him? Can we just actually
I don't mind being yelled at. I've been told that the game is not the centerpiece of Metazoo. Metazoo, the game, it's the IP, and I'm all in on that idea. But it seems like every piece of IP that gets released is tied directly back to the cardboard, to the game.
The card, right?
But if that's the case, then the fact that the boxes don't do well and the singles don't do well does matter. It does matter because it's all tied back to those pieces of cardboard.
I think it's just weird because the promos do well. It's just weird. Meta's just weird, and like
Meta's just weird.
I don't. The answer is I don't know, Josh. Like I don't know.
And again, this is not me trying to crap on Metazoo or crap on Mike. It's something that it eludes me. I keep getting told this is not the centerpiece. This doesn't matter. This is if the IP works, none of this matters. But then all of the IP points back to this.
I think here's what you might be missing is that I think the IP, if the IP hits, it'll create an incredible amount of demand, and then the box prices will go up. Like when I say none of this matters, it's like, listen, like, I mean, tell me how the show does, tell me how the movie does, tell me how the game does, tell me how the arcade game does, candidly. I'll tell you how the game's doing.
I think the arcade game here, what the win is in my mind is like you will have some sort of story based in the arcade. You will get some IP from this. The story will happen. A story will happen within the arcade game. It's not going to just be like, I guess what it says a sprite fighting game. So there's not really
so I agree, but why does it have to spit out a card? Why does it have to spit out a card then? Because I agree, the IP and the story extremely important for Metazoo, and I think they're going to do a great job at it. But
will only play games if they can get a prize. That's it.
The prize could be a plushie. The prize could be
that's a lot harder if you're not doing a crane or a cut the rope or something like that. That's
George,
a much harder prize.
I'm pretty focused on cranes right now, so that's fair.
George, another sprite fighting game. Let's use Tekken, or do you do any of those in your arcades?
Of course not. Well, that's not true. That's not true. I have an Injustice, which is the Raw Thrills game that gives out cards. Actually,
so there's
4 Injustices.
Injustice is the DC fighting game, right?
Yeah.
So it gives out cards.
Mm-hmm.
Huh. Okay. Like what?
And is there a DC trading card game?
No, it's cards for the Injustice video game.
Power-ups, yeah.
And here's what's interesting about this game, and I'm sure Mike knows this. That game does really, 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 really well at some locations and horrifically bad at others. I have it at one of my barcades, and it does very well. It's in the top 5 every week. I was like, oh my God, I'll buy like 5 more. So I bought 5 more. I put them in 5 other locations. At like 3 of them, it was top 10-ish games. And in the others, it was like bottom 10. And it's hard to figure out the rhyme or reason as to why. The Minecraft has done pretty poorly at all the arcades I'm aware of, and that's another card game. I think, like, listen, like this game to me, this will not be a standard arcade game, in my opinion. This will be like an Injustice.
Yeah, it's a flavorful. Yeah.
Yeah. What I mean by a standard arcade game, I mean hit a button, get tickets. There's a bunch of those. That's the most common arcade game. If you go to any arcade, look around you, everything will be hit a button, get tickets. Coin pusher, hit a button, go in the right slot, get the right number of tickets. Whack and win, hit the thing goes up, you get the number of tickets. Big bass wheel, pull the lever, wheel spins, get the tickets. That's a standard arcade game. And I think that's easy. Like that's easy. I think you can tell me a story where Mike actually does that in the future. Like there's absolutely no reason Mike can't create a themed big bass wheel. It's the #1 selling arcade game, and it's just a fish that has a wheel in it. You spin the wheel, you get the number of tickets.
But this is more of a
absolutely theme that for Metazoo.
It's more of like a Simpsons hit and run, right?
Bingo.
Like
yeah. This is a retro feeling arcade game, which I think is an interesting choice. And I think it shows that Mike is leading into the story. That's what this tells me. Because like the normal hit button, get tickets game, very easy to theme, no thought required, sells very easily, sells very well for all arcades.
If he's leaning into the story, is an arcade game your best medium?
I think it's a great medium. Again, like you're going to have, he's already creating a video game. Mm-hmm. He's already creating a TV show. That's probably your third
TV show. Boom. That's a big medium for a story, but an arcade game. I don't know.
Yeah, well, I was wrong about any story here because it's a sprite fighting game. So it's Tekken. It's Mortal Kombat.
I think you can create a storyline through that.
Yeah, I guess you can. You can. I mean, Mortal Kombat, you can see the storyline. You're fighting the guy, you pop him up. You're in a different thing. You fight a different guy. It's a whole thing.
I think it's good. I think this is a good. I think this is it's a very unique game choice. I like it.
Yes. Let me be clear. I'm not saying this is a bad idea. I'm saying my confusion comes from the card.
I've already told my distributor I want to test it. If Mike will let me test it, and if the game manufacturer will let me test it, I've done that for other games in the past. Very like a title games, Lara Croft, etc. I have. I told him no matter what, I'll be buying 3 of them. I already got my orders in. I'll have them in my arcades. This is easy.
That makes sense to me. I mean, I think this is a cool way for Metazoo fans to go and do something Metazoo related, which is a win. I could see like me if there was one of these at the arcade that's in Huntington, me being like, "Hey, honey, let's go get dinner," and like I want to go to the arcade and play the Metazoo game to try to get a thing. Like that's something I think a lot of Metazoo.
Still married to you?
Yeah, no, it's crazy. She also didn't know about the Mona Lisa. She just wasn't that interested in it, though. That's crazy. But I struggle.
Use it on the podcast.
I think this is also a really cool thing to get the name known. If this is in Dave and Buster's across the country, that's really cool. It's cool. It's
also something that if you do I'm sure I'm not the only idiot that owns or collects TCGs and arcades. Right. And you better believe I will be at my arcade when this game gets delivered, telling everybody within 1,000 miles that they have to come play this Metazoo game because it's awesome, and also be like, you should also buy the boxes. Like, I do think there's some synergy there. I'm hyped. I think this is great.
I think the synergy comes from me when the kid, you get a kid, they play the game, they win the card, they leave, they're walking through Walmart and they see the pack hanging on the wall or Target, and they're like, "Oh, I like that. It's from the arcade, Mom." And then they pick up their first pack.
Put in the comments section below if you're going to buy IAPA. That's our trade show. If so, let's go.
So I love IAPA. I would like to see a connection between this and the video game, like you said with Injustice.
There has to be.
Right. Yeah. Like you play the actual Injustice game, you fall in love with it, you're excited about it, and you're like, "Oh my gosh, there's an arcade one that I can go to and win something and get a story." If the video game is popular and gets people and kids, like this is something that the additional step into playing those things, which I think can be really cool. So
level 1 free online, dude. Level 1 free online.
I think level 1 free online is a really good idea.
Level 1 free online. Everyone gets a taste. They get it. They have some fun. They get into the IP. They might even go find one. They might be like, "I wasn't going to go to an arcade today, but now I'm going to."
Yeah. You could even have the locator of where all the arcades are. Right there.
Oh, that's a great idea. Look how close we are to you. You played level 1 online? Come play level 2.
George, I'm getting more people in your arcade. You should be ecstatic. That look. All right, everyone. That's the end of the podcast. I'm glad you learned a lot of stuff, like the Mona Lisa. And, what the real meaning of flavor text is. And this was great. It was a good episode. One of the best. This was
bonkers. This episode
one of the best.
Bonkers.
I'm sorry, everybody.
Thanks for watching. Make sure you hit subscribe. I'm sure.
Why do you add this at the end? If you have listened to 2 hours of us and you're not subscribed, look inward.
30% of our viewership is not subscribed. 30% of our viewership. Yeah, 30% of our viewership. Is that
true?
That's true. 30% of our viewership is not subscribed.
Listen, no pressure.
No pressure.
Louis needs to get back to 7,000 subscribers. It's all he thinks about.
And on Friday, it's gonna be all over the place. Some people are gonna hate the flavor text thing. Some people are gonna hate the Mona Lisa thing. It's gonna be. Other people are gonna love it. They're gonna be like, "I just learned that. That was great content." It's gonna be.
I might read this comment section.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much for watching, listening, being here. We appreciate you. You rock. Be kind to the people around you, and may the zoo be with you.
Hey, you nailed it. And also with you. Josh.
Oh, and also with you. I was letting you guys have your outro. And also with you.
It's our outro. All of us. We're all a team.
You're a permanent guest, okay? Permanent guest get to speak at the end, just at the beginning.
Okay, do it again. Do it again.
No, that's it. Goodbye, everyone.
That's it. It's over.